This week's Fish Groom Tour episode looks at Pittsburgh Pets and his current breeding setup. The owner of the setup and fish, Mitch has around 40 tanks specialising in certain strains of guppies, plecos and also German blue rams, as well as other animals that I'll touch on later in the video. This is his 55-gallon show tank, and these are all the rams that he has bred and grown out. This is the room past the 55-gallon show tank in the wall, and in this segment of the video, Mitch runs us through his setup from the system he runs to the specific tanks he uses for breeding. Alright then Mitch, run us through your system.
Okay, so all my tanks are individually run. There's roughly 28 tanks, 20 longs, 10s, and 40 breeders. It's all run on one central air system. I run sponge filters. Right now the room's being heated, around 80 degrees. You have to run a lot of fans though, low and high, or otherwise you get warmer tanks up high and colder down low. But the room's not too big that I can run enough fans. So all the tanks I'm doing about 50% water change once a week, some more. But every tank is individually run. A little bit more time consuming, but better results with your fish. If you have any diseases pop up, they won't spread at every tank. But all in all, I haven't brought anything new to my room, and besides a pleco or two in months. So everything I have, I've bred and raised. So cross-contamination isn't too much of a concern. Right now we have some guppy breeding groups that we're looking at. There's some blue half-blacks, yellow half-blacks, red snakeskins, delta reds. And I just have the acrylic yarn in there. That way the babies can live in there until they're big enough to come up top with the parents. You can see they're all mixed in there. Once I have the time to go through, I'll move into these bottom tanks where they can kind of mix. Ideally, I'm going to mix males and females in their own tanks so they're not breeding before I want them to. The bottom tanks as well, I have some plecos, crystal nose plecos mainly, albino, super reds, hopefully some long fins.
Whenever you're ready.
Along with the guppies, I also breed German blue rams. They're just a dwarf cichlid. I have a few pairs up here in the top tanks. I breed them, I'll pair them off in a large tank and then I'll pull male female. Give them a flower pot that they'll spawn in. Lots of coverage because after they spawn they'll fight. So you don't want the male to kill your female. That's why I have the acrylic yarn and moss in there. Tanks are kind of dim. I'm trying out new lighting. I have these LED strips above. I got them just on Amazon. They were pretty cheap. So it works for lighting the tanks up and it'll hopefully cut down my algae growth. But those are my pairs. I have multiple spawns of them growing out right now. So this tank here, they're about 3 to 4 month old German blue rams, starting to color up. I also have all the way down to like 1 week fry. Start them off in about a 1 gallon jar, move them up to 10 gallon tanks and 20 longs. Depending on the space, I'd like to get them into a 40 breeder as soon as possible, but with how many I have now, I'm just trying to keep them staged out. So you can encourage growth with larger water changes and larger tanks, but I still have healthy growth. First few days you want to start them on a micro worm, the live worms, and then soon after you're going to do newly hatched baby brine shrimp. Within weeks you can always start introducing dry foods with loach wafers are nice because they can feed on them for an extended period of time. Crushed flake food, frozen food eventually. But I'm breeding just normal water, not RO. About 80 degrees, not super warm either. And then here's where I was talking about sexing out the males and females for guppies. So the far left tank is just a mix, and then they move to your males and females. And then once they're big enough to cell size, I'll move them to a cell tank. And then at that same time, I can pull back future breeders.
And how old are these fry? Yeah.
Those fry are almost 2 weeks old. They're about the size of Guppy Fry now. They'll spawn anywhere from 50 to 200 eggs at a time. I'll usually scrape the eggs and I'll tumble them very heavily in the tank with methylene blue.
And these ones?
Probably looking about a month there. Not growing up super quick, so I'm just trying to pace them out.
Because you don't need to.
Yeah, but there's still good growth. There's lots of rams here. Hopefully start selling them on Aquabit eventually. I can sell small groups at young ages. proven pairs, depending on your location.
Yeah, because
But,
these guys are getting some pretty nice colour already.
They're starting to color up nice, and they're very good age that they can acclimate to a new pH. Once you get older pairs and your water's different, harder for them to transfer over. So if you can grow them out and pair them up in a large tank, you'll get a good pair, and they'll do a lot better for breeding for you, or just keeping a community tank as part of your tank.
So you've got all these racks that are German blues, and then these are the ones that you're selling?
Yeah, there's a 40-gallon breeder there. Those guys are about 4 to 5 months, and they're almost fully colored up, close to full size.
As I said, Mitch also breeds other animals, including this gecko having a nice little snack. And all these drawers are full with currently breeding geckos. He also breeds these lovebirds that had actually just laid eggs. And he'd also just recently picked up this nice little conure pairing that he hopes will be breeding for him pretty soon.
Hey, Blue, you want a treat?
If you like this video and like what Mitch is doing, please don't forget to hit subscribe to both Cichlidscape and Pittsburgh Pets on both YouTube and Instagram. Thanks.